Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching 7th and final part of What If Naruto Was Chosen by Venom. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto asked Kakuzu, "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes. It's clear you haven't thought about it. This isn't the best place to fight, since Konoha can see us. Go over there." Naruto walked away while keeping him in his line of sight. He was getting ready to turn a corner, but he stopped. "Well? Okay," he said, and he followed them until they stopped. Calling him. "Make us," challenged Naruto. "Skarmory is our friend, and we call him more often to be with him than to fight, because few people can make us. Are you strong enough to make us?" "Watch and see," he said, and he ran toward Naruto and tried to punch him. Naruto dodged it and turned to the right as the threads came out of the fist. He dove down, pulled his legs up to his chest, rolled to the right, and got back up. He just stood there, facing away from Kakuzu. "No, you're not," he said, and started to leave. "If you know Skarmory-sama, that means you've lived a full life. It also looks like you still have a life to live, so don't waste it on revenge." "I've been waiting and looking for this chance for more than 100 years, Kakuzu growled. "Now is not the time to give up." "Fine," Naruto said, and he turned around. "Which do you want? Swords or hammers? And know that as strong as we are, Skarmory-sama is 100 times stronger. We only call on him when things are really bad." "Whichever is stronger," said Kakuzu. "For now, we'll use the hammer," Naruto said. He then took the stick and hit the end of it on the ground. A bolt of lightning hit, and Naruto stood up with Mjolnir in his hand and the 6 metal discs on his chest. "May the gates of Valhalla be open to you." "What is it?" asked Kakuzu. Under his mask, Naruto gave a sly smile. "It's where warriors who died in battle with enough honor to impress Odin are taken. We've heard they have good beer there." Naruto let go of the handle and started swinging it around by the loop at the end. He threw it, and Kakuzu dove under it and let it go over his head. Naruto was already on him, so he punched and kicked him several times. He found that the threads were blocking them all. As they went to stab him, Naruto made the cage kiri and cut them apart. He put the Mjolnir on his back and pulled it back to him. He made Kakuzu move back with a wide swing of the hammer. "In taijutsu, it looks like we're about even." "It seems that way." "Then let's stop warming up," he said, putting Mjolnir in his belt and making hand signs. As he did them, a lot of water fell off of Venom and into the bowl they were walking in. Naruto found himself saying, "Dog, bird, monkey, horse, snake, dog," as he did each one. As the water turned to ice and then back into water, the temperature dropped. A narwhal leapt into the air above them. Kakuzu was surprised that Naruto didn't run away to get out of the kill zone. Instead, he just made sure the whale didn't land on him and kept fighting. When it fell back to earth and hit the rocks, it broke into pieces. There were ice spears everywhere. From behind Naruto, Kakuzu saw them coming. Strangely, he thought he saw Naruto smile under his mask before he jumped into the air and weaved through them by twisting this way and that. Kakuzu was too big to try something like that, so he made a wall of earth to stop them. They hit it, and it broke again. He was about to drop it when something hit it from the other side and broke it, sending the pieces straight for him. Mjolnir hit him in the chest and threw him into the side of the mountain. It disappeared and then turned up in Naruto's hands. Kakuzu stood up, and when he did, fire ran down his hands. Just like Zetsu said, a user of ice. "You do know they are dead, right?" "Yes, I don't care. All I care about is killing you." He pushed his hands forward and threw the burning spheres at him. Naruto made a mirror in front of them, though. "You are good, but not good enough. Almost nothing can break these mirrors. Our bloodline and that of our wife. And we used them to beat Kisame and Itachi." Naruto jumped forward and shot a web at his hands, catching them in one of his. Now comes the crescendo, he said, and with his free hand, he started making one-handed hand signs. Suddenly, a head popped out of Kakuzu's back. It looked like a mask, and when its mouth opened, a tornado came out of it. Before Kakuzu could blast him, Naruto pulled and threw him. What in the hell? Kakuzu took off his shirt and then turned around. 4 masks were sewn into Naruto's back. They opened their mouths at the same time, and an element formed there. It grew stronger for a moment, and then they attacked. Naruto dove to the side and missed the first, dodged the second, stopped short of the third, and was about to take a step back to avoid the fourth. But now there was a rock wall behind him. He couldn't get away from the fourth one now that there were already 3 around him. Shit. The ball of water hit him and threw him through the wall. He and Venom were both stunned, so when something picked him up and held him in place, they couldn't do anything. Kakuzu moved forward while cracking his fingers. Calling him. Screw you, Naruto said in response. A punch to the stomach knocked the wind out of him. After that, an uppercut. Calling him. Okay, here's how you do it. First, you take our blood, and then you put it on a seal. Whither the seal? On our right ass cheek. He was punched so hard in the jaw that the bone broke for a moment before Venom fixed it. Alright, it's on our left ass cheek. Ah. Kakuzu had taken a dagger and stuck it into his shoulder before twisting it. You think this is just a game? Compared to what we have to deal with now, yes. No, it's not. This is as real as it gets. His water mask reached over Naruto's shoulder and pulled his shirt up. Last chance before I go have some fun. Try it, and let's see what you can do. Kakuzu put the tip of the kunai right under his collarbone. He wanted to cut him open like a doctor doing an autopsy. No, you'll take the pain and never give up, but I know what it will take to break you, Naruto. Tell us something. Kakuzu got close to her. He said, your wives, which made Naruto's eyes widen. That's right, I know everything about them and you. You can just call the traitor, or I can encase you in stone up to your neck and leave you while I go have fun with them. Naruto growled and started flailing around, trying to get away. You know what you have to do, boy, call Skarmory. We'll rip out your heart and make you eat it if you touch even one of their hairs. No place will be safe from us. We'll kill you slowly. I guess that is your final answer. Their lives are now mine. But first, he looked at Mjolnir on the ground where it had fallen. He reached for it and tried to lift it off the ground, saying, it's time for a little payback. It didn't move. He wasn't even able to grab the handle. He grabbed Naruto's hands and looked at them. How? It must be a seal. He took off the gloves and threw them away because he didn't see a seal on them. He took hold of his hands and shook them back and forth. Why can't I lift that heavy hammer? Because Odin didn't think you were good enough, choke him. What are you? His eyes got bigger as something tightened around his throat. He tried to pull his own throat out with his hands. But the part of Venom that was the gloves he threw away was almost like his skin. Tighter, tighter. Naruto felt something behind him loosen, so he pulled away from it, lunged at Kakuzu, and wrapped his hands around his neck. You will never touch Hinata-chan or Haku-chan. Naruto used all of his strength to cut off blood and oxygen. Even though Kakuzu's face was turning purple, he didn't stop. When the thing behind him finally fell, he did too. He looked at the dead body on the ground for a moment, then reached back with one hand and hit Kakuzu's jaw with it, breaking it, before Venom could put his gloves back on. Never hurt the people we love, he said, and he started to leave. No way. We crushed your life out of you. You killed one of my hearts, Kakuzu said as he stood up again. Impressive. You won't do that again, however you did it. You have more than one heart? I take them from those I have killed, Kakuzu told him before attacking him again. Naruto moved to the side, grabbed Mjolnir, and swung it at him, which made him move back. Your heart and the weapons you make will definitely make me stronger. You still have to kill us, Naruto growled. He threw the hammer at him and hit him in the chest with it. Naruto called it back to him and put it in his belt. He jumped and hit him with a punch because he wanted to kill him. But Kakuzu stopped him. Now dance around, you jerk, Naruto said. He put his hand on the ground and threw another punch. This one was also caught. Usually I just kill, but not this time. I'm going to show you how much better I am, and what I have planned is the stuff of nightmares. Naruto felt him start to push him, so he planted his feet and braced himself. Even so, Kakuzu pushed him away. Again, Naruto felt it. Fear. This man was stronger than him and had all 5 elements. His body was also a weapon. He was shoved right into the rock wall. His arms were outstretched, and the threads were coming out of Kakuzu. He put them in places where they would hurt him. Before you die, know that your women are now mine. They started walking away. No. At that moment, Naruto did something he had never done before. He used Venom as a weapon himself. It came off his chest and the rest of his body to make a shield. When the threads hit it, they got stuck. Then, a few tentacles wrapped around his body and swung him back and forth into the wall, breaking the stone. You will die. Venom turned into a whip and cut his back several times. One of the masks came up from his back, and a ball of fire formed in its mouth. Burn, he said, and the fire shot forward and burned up the ground Naruto was standing on. He wasn't there, though. He looked up when he heard snarling on the wall. Both of Naruto's hands and feet were on it. His mask started to break apart, and tendrils grew out of his head and back. The ones on his head turned into ears, and the ones on his back turned into 5 tails. His suit got slimmer, and fangs grew in his mouth. A long tongue also grew out of his mouth. This is what Kakuzu heard happened when he started to use the 9 tails chakra. He should then turn red. It wasn't Naruto. You want Skarmory? Here he is. As he did the summoning, blood came out of his claws. He slammed them down, and the raven's cry made the hill shake. What's wrong with you, Naruto? He threatened Hinata and Haku, Naruto said, pointing to Kakuzu. All so that he could fight you. He looked at the huge raven. I know you. Oh, yes, I remember. How is your dad? You son of a whore. I'll kill you. That bad, eh? He spread his wings and flew away. Let me guess, he still doesn't like his dad? That is what he says, Naruto said in response. Kill him for us, Skarmory-sama, and we'll never ask you for anything else. Ask, I beg you. You know how boring it gets there. They looked back down as Kakuzu glared at them. Then 1,000 threads shot out of his back. They were tied together to make wings. He moved them and flew after him. That's good, girl, but where do we go from here? It will kill you. Fire and lightning started to appear on his shoulders. Hang on, kiddo. Skarmory started to fly higher to avoid the attacks. Then he dove at him and knocked him out of the air. Skarmory went to stab him with his claws while he was on the ground. As the talons hit the ground, rocks flew up and holes were made. But Kakuzu kept moving to avoid getting hit. Then, he made a whip out of the thread and hit it with his right claw. When Skarmory picked up the hurt limb and saw blood, he grunted. He didn't hurt himself very often. You threatened Hinata and Haku. Let me tell you something, I am going to kill you. But it won't be quick and quiet like it was for your father. It will be loud and nasty, my kind of kill. And when your eyes go dead, the hell I send you to will seem like heaven after what I do to you. You're not good enough. I've been training for 100 years and even refused to die so I could kill you. 100 years isn't enough, Naruto told him with a growl. He jumped off his friend and brought Kage Kiri and Samahata down to where he was standing. Kakuzu had moved back and sent a bunch of his threads to kill Naruto. He pushed them away with the Samahata, which took away their controlling chakra and gave him a much-needed break. The cage Kiri was thrown behind him. A few yards away, it hit the end of the web that was attached to it, straightened up, and pointed the blade at them. Naruto pulled it back as hard as he could, and it came flying at them. Kakuzu couldn't get away with making threats. The cage Kiri speared his earth mask as it rose from the ground. It did save Kakuzu, though. Naruto pulled out the sword and threw the dying thing away, while a spear was made from a few of the threads that were tied together. He stabbed at Naruto, and as a reflex, Naruto held the cage Kiri so the spear went through the hole at the end. The spear had become stiff, so Naruto held it down and pushed it even further, breaking it. "So the Kiri is a weapon breaker," he said in a low voice. "Damn it," roared Kakuzu in pain. He tried to hit Naruto in the head with a punch, but he forgot about Skarmory. The giant raven hit him with one of its talons, knocking him down. Then he used his beak to reach down and pull his head off his body. Several threads came out of Kakuzu and went under Skarmory's feathers, then went through his heart. Die. Skarmory stopped moving before blood started to come out of his beak. No. Naruto tried to get there in time to use Venom to heal the wound. But Kakuzu already had his freedom. He growled and had both swords ready. "We would call you a bastard, but that would be an insult to all bastards." He jumped to avoid his attacks and brought his blades down. The blades got caught in the mask that was still on him. Naruto growled and showed his fangs. Then, all of a sudden, his tails came around and wrapped around the two, trying to squeeze out the hearts that made them. The two broke apart when they burst. "Now it's just you and us." "No, there's just me," Kakuzu said. He started making hand signs and jumped back. Naruto did the same thing, making two sets of hand signs with only one hand. Naruto was hit by a water cyclone as he sent a black ice dragon at it. They ran into each other and stopped. But before Kakuzu could start another one, a second dragon came out from behind the first one and threw the smoke. Kakuzu took off into the sky, and Naruto went with him. He tied a web line to his back and hit him so hard that he fell back to the ground. Then he was pulled back, and Naruto grabbed his legs and put his feet under his arms. When they got back to the ground, Naruto pushed him face first into a stone. Naruto was thrown away by the blow. He got back on his feet and went to see what was left. To find Kakuzu when he was about to die. "What's wrong?" Kakuzu asked as he coughed up blood. "You're not going to kill me so you can feel good about killing an old fart, cough, cough." Naruto looked down at him. Blood was coming out of his mouth and arm, and his ears and tails were slowly disappearing. The killing, no. No satisfaction. Everything up until the killing is going to be a gasp. Naruto reached down and grabbed him by the head, digging his claws into it. Then, both hands grabbed him by the head, and Venom wrapped around him to put even more pressure on him. "This is for threatening the people we love, and especially for Skarmory," he said, and he started to squeeze. Kakuzu didn't scream for a while, until blood started coming out of his eye, nose, and ears. Even though some of them got on Naruto's face, he kept squeezing. When his eyes finally stopped working, Naruto put his body down and did another summon. This time, a group of ravens came and ate his body. Naruto thinks it was a good way to end things. He thought of Skarmory and ran to where the giant raven had fallen. "Hello, Skarmory." "Hey kiddo," he said, his voice weak. "It looks like you killed him. You're going to be fine." "We mean, how could you not be? You're the biggest, baddest motherfucker around, you can't die." That made Skarmory laugh. "I may be the biggest, but I'm no longer the worst. Chill out, kid, this is just how life is. No, we're here to help." Skarmory gave a sigh. "Naruto, I have something to tell you. First, everything dies, even that symbiont, and that includes me. Second, Nekomata isn't the only one who works for the Shinigami. But we don't want you to die, Naruto said as he hugged him. You said you were supposed to help us save the world. You can't do that if you die. Again, Skarmory laughed. Nothing is set in stone, kiddo, not even prophecies. I've done so many terrible things in my life. If there is any good in me, I think it's because of you. And I thank you for that, Uzumaki Naruto. And Venom. Skarmory took his last breath and his head fell to the side. No. No. Death, who had been the first two tails, put the head down and moved backwards. Everyone holds their breath to see if she can pull it off. Then, she ran up to it and kicked it. It went through the goal after hitting a pole. She'd done it. The World Series is won by the Wildcats. Everyone goes crazy. The head yelled at her, "You fucking whore. Just put me to death already." Not yet, Hidan-chan, said Death with a smile. Famine, the one with the 8 tails, was looking at her. Why do you hurt that creature? Not that it really bothers me. Death just shrugged and said, it's what I do. Glutton, who used to have 7 tails, pulled some meat off a leg bone and ate it while Lust, who used to have 3 tails, beat around the last body of Pain that was still alive, but just barely. While War was taking apart the real Pain. Pestilence, which used to have only 1 tail, became Carnage. Big brother, you should be happy. Nothing can stop the end of the world from happening now. Carnage growled at him, grabbed him by the throat, and threw him away. I'll be happy when I have all my strength back. You might be happy with these bits and pieces. But I was the strongest thing in the world. And I'm going to do it again. A creature so strong that even Galactax won't want to visit this planet. He threw his fist and knocked down what was left of a building. And the seals make it so we can't do anything. We can't get them as long as Naruto and those wimps are there. Then draw them out, Lust said. You are the ninja Naruto. Carnage stopped moving and turned to face her. His smile showed more of his fangs. I am. We only need to give him something he loves. A little bit of symbolism would also be nice. No doubt. Haha. Wave. Famine waved his hand because he didn't know what he was saying. Don't wave like that, fool. The country, wave. Where he met Haku and Serum and where I was born. And where some of the people he loves most are. Wave is what makes him weak. Glutton threw the bone away and stood up. That's great and all, but let's not forget that he needs to know in order to be able to come. And since we did this, he said, pointing to the ruined Hidden Rain village around them, he will never get here in an hour. So, he will not come. Carnage turned to look at something while he was still laughing. Oh, he's coming. And he'll understand. Because you'll say, won't you tell him, my little paper crane? He went over and put his hands on a woman's face. Conan had come back, but he didn't know what had happened, so they caught him. Up until now, Carnage had been thinking about what to do with her. Fuck you, she muttered. Carnage said, naughty, naughty, and then cut her cheek. You will go tell Naruto of Konoha everything we have planned, or I will do things to you that will make you beg to die. He licked his lips and reached for her breast with a claw to show what he meant. Do I get my point across? Conan tensed up and almost said no, but he was too scared. It was easy for Famine, who was the weakest of them all, to catch her. And Carnage was as strong as the boy who tore Akatsuki apart before they even existed. Sure, I'll do it. That girl is good. He threw her to the ground and held her on her side so that one ear faced the sky. And just to make sure, he got a piece of Carnage in his claw and held it above his ear. When he dropped it on her head, it moved. Before going into her ear and brain, it looked around. She screamed for a long time out of fear and then out of pain. Naruto's head was down because he hadn't talked in a while. Skarmory had been dead for 2 days, and he could hardly bring himself to eat. No one could get to him, not Tsunade, not Haku, not Hinata, not even Shadow and the Anbu. You know, said a voice Naruto did not expect to hear. When Namikaze Minato, the last member of my team, died, I was so involved in Icha tactics and just looking at the memorial stone that I was barely fit to be in Anbu anymore, Kakashi said to Naruto below the branch he was on. Not because I was good, but because I missed something. What I had nearby. Even now, with my sensei's son in my life, I'm just starting to see it. He put his back against the tree. Damn, this mask feels so tight right now, Kakashi said as he took it off. A mask can cover up a lot. What you look like, how you smell, and what you do can be learned from you. But you know, sometimes you just have to take that mask off. Or you turn into it. He was our friend and didn't ask us for anything, Naruto said. He died because we had too much pride. We were furious. Kakashi sighed and took off his headband, so Naruto could see what he looked like now. Do you know why I have this eye and this scar? Naruto gave a firm nod. This is my first job without my sensei. The bridge was the target, and sensei was sent to the front of the line. The mission was supposed to go on with me, Uchiha Obito, and Inuzuka Rin. And Rin was taken by ninja from the other side. Obito made the right choice because he was both the fool and the genius. He went to save Rin, and I went to finish the mission. Even though his normal eye didn't show much, his Sharingan was crying. I left. Saying what I had done since my father left the mission to find his team. Those who don't do what's expected of them are trash. Don't lie anymore, Naruto. I feel like a fool when I look at Sasuke. I feel like a traitor when I look at you and forget what my sensei taught me. My father left me on my own because he couldn't live with what he had done. And I was thinking about making the same choice. I couldn't do it because I was too scared. I lost an eye when I went after Obito and Rin. But Rin was saved by us. As we came out of the cave, a rock hit me on my blind side. And Obito, he gave his life to save me from dying. Me, when it wasn't fair. He touched his face with his hand. And I've never had to face this before. This mask kept me from seeing it. The deaths of my father, Obito, Rin, and your father. I will always know that I could have done it differently and that I should have. And nothing on this planet or in this universe will ever change that or bring them back. So I had to figure out what to do with a life I didn't deserve. What did you come across? Until recently, you, Sasuke, and Sakura. Nothing at all. I was so closed off by my pain that I wouldn't let anyone in. Neither thing nor person. Naruto leaned over the branch to look him in the eye. So you've never faced it? Alright. But Naruto, in every way that matters, you are stronger than me. So why don't you face it? Naruto didn't know what to say. Because if you do, you'll have to admit that you're not so strong that everything works out the way you want it to. Things don't always go as planned. And you can't do anything to change that. People dying is the real first rule of shinobi.
Rule number 1 can't be changed, no matter what.
I really wish you didn't have to learn this. Naruto could no longer hold it in. He got on his knees and gave Kakashi a hug. That's not fair. We should have moved more quickly. We could have done better. We should have asked for assistance. If something else had happened, he wouldn't have died. And we're all to blame. Kakashi just held him as Naruto finally cried and acted like a child. Why, God, did all this have to happen? Why did Jiraiya have to give us the scroll? Because you needed the strength, Kakashi said. Yes, even now. Even though Akatsuki is gone, Kyuubi is still out there, and no one else is strong enough to fight him. So, Naruto, you need to be strong for a little while longer. We're sick of being powerful. If we hadn't been strong, Carnage wouldn't have been able to get away. Kakashi told him, Haku wouldn't be here, Hinata would be afraid of her own father, Kimimaro would be dead, and Akatsuki would still be alive and impossible to stop. Naruto, bad things will happen to you. You can only try to make sure they don't happen too often. How do we call them back? He looked out for us and we did the same for him. It was supposed to be like that. We didn't do it. By calling for Ebony and telling him. If he was as good as Skarmory, he would let you go. Naruto shook his head and said, we don't think we could face him. But you have to, said Kakashi. Else you'll never have to face it. Naruto, you have to do it. Just follow me through the steps, will you? Bring your blood to me. He cut his hand on the cage Kiri because he was weak. Use the hand gestures. Now fill it with as much chakra as it takes to call him. Naruto didn't want to put his hands on the ground right away. A tower of smoke sent him flying. Ebony-sama. Who is Naruto? I didn't think I'd get to talk to you, since my brother is here with you. Whither my brother? We can't tell you, Ebony-sama. We have to show you. Up on a cliff with a view of Konoha. Ebony spread his wings and flew there. Brother, here you are. Brother. Skarmory. He used his beak to push against him, but he didn't move. We tried to do something instead of just leaving him here, but we couldn't move him, Naruto said. Sorry. We feel terrible. Ebony shed her own tears. Windel, goddess of the wind, take my brother with you and hold him forever in your arms. I would have never thought that. He has never been beaten. Brother, don't worry, I will keep my word. We'll understand if you want to back out of the deal. No. Skarmory knew this was how he would die. Fighting, not where or when. It's just a matter of time, Dobby, he would always say. You will be the strongest when I die. I never liked it when he called me that. He is stronger, and he gets to fight to the death for someone he thinks is worth dying for. I'm leaving. Ebony moved his head no. Naruto, whatever you are fighting right now is something I am also fighting. Please make sure I'm there when the time comes. Thank you, Naruto said in a low voice. Thank you for not leaving us. Ebony put his head on the back of Skarmory. Time for you to go home, brother. They were gone in a puff of smoke. Naruto got down on his knees and cried until he was done. When Jiraiya saw her, he couldn't believe it. Konan, he said. Jiraiya-sensei, she said in a low voice. You have to help me. I must. Find Uzumaki Naruto, the one with the Jinchuriki. What do you want to do with him? Carnage wants him, and if I don't tell him, the pain. Okay, I get it. I'll take you to him. He ran all the way to the Uzumaki estate with her in his arms. Since he came often, the guard at Fuma let him through right away. When he got there, he opened the door. Naruto is needed right away. Naruto said, we're here, as he came out of the kitchen. What's the matter, Jiraiya? This is Konan. He was one of my students before I taught the fourth. Konan, he's here. Carnage wants you to know that you should come to Wave. If you and the others don't help, he'll kill everyone in the country, starting with Tsunami and Inari, and then eat what's left. Please say you know how to get out what he put in me. This red thing is made of the same material that covers his body. The eyes of Naruto got bigger. Kimimaro. Assist her. Kimimaro ran to her when she started screaming out of the blue. We have no idea where it is. Who has it? She didn't know what to say, so he put his hand on her chest and started from there. But he knew when he saw her eyes start to fill up with red fluid all of a sudden. He put his hands on her face, and the anti-venom went into her body through her pores. It found Carnage, destroyed it, and then made its way back to Kimimaro in a smooth way. She should be fine now, he told her. Naruto-sama, what do you want to do? He didn't say anything for a moment. We're going to kill them when we get there. Enough already. He put his arms out and groaned as he did so. He was as stiff as a dead body. Then he remembered why, and he saw that he was dead. The ninja asked the air, "What the hell? Are you finally awake, Guppy?" asked Raiga, leaning against the wall. Kisame gave him a mean look. "I told you not to call me that." "Damn it." Kisame got up shakily so he could beat up his fellow swordsman. "Wait, when did you pass away?" Raiga's eyebrows went up. "What on earth are you talking about?" "This is the pits. Only place I could go after that sword got stuck in my chest." Raiga just stared at him for a moment before he started laughing. "You're not on your back, Guppy. Stop joking about fish. Why am I still alive?" Tsunade is friends with the super brat. He said that if Akatsuki died, you could be brought back to life. Kisame closed her eyes a few times. Is Akatsuki dead? Placed on ice? Has someone died? Trying to grow daisies? Except for you and this woman with blue hair, sure. Why is Kohan still alive but no one else? The Gaki don't mind killing women, right? Raiga was unsure. It wasn't them. We think it was a group of 7 monsters, all of which had tails. Most people take their names from one of the 4 horsemen. Some people want to do one of the 7 deadly sins. Carnage is the name of the group's leader. Everyone was killed? Still pain? Raiga told him, in an hour, which made his eyes widen. All of the Jinchuriki went to fight them, but I don't think they can win. He started to smile out of the blue. What do you mean you didn't tell them about Yagura? Kisame had a laugh. Did I forget all about her? Raiga told him with a smirk, it's too late to deny it now. Just say it, you didn't want her to die. Okay, I thought she already had a bad enough time. I wanted to leave her alone for as long as I could. A man in a red coat walked into the room and asked, what are you two fighting about? Go ahead, Tenten, Orin told the girl at the door. She walked in with a sword on her back that weighed 40 pounds and looked a lot like the Shira that Orin used. Hello, Mr. Orin. She gave Kisame a bow. Kisame-san, my name is Tenten, and I am Orin's apprentice. It's nice to meet you at last, sir. Kisame looked up at the person he was playing with. What's going on here? She's a fan, Raiga shrugged. That, and she also wants to be a weapons mistress. So, naturally, Zanbatu came around, Orin said. She came to me to learn how to do things. Tenten got back on track. Hi. I've already met the Demon of the Mist, the Thunder of the Mist, Manjetsu, the Fang of the Mist, my sensei, the Scar of the Mist, and now you, the Monster of the Mist. Kisame gave his chin a rub. 1. You still have 2 too few. 2. You can't do much with a sword if you don't have one. Tenten's eyes were lit up in a way that was almost scary. My family owns a shop that sells guns. One of the best places in the village. Please come to it, and I'll make sure you get a good one. No, I only want one sword. It's going to be a pain to get back. Naruto Samahata, Tenten said with a nod. People say that before he got that blade, he was already the most dangerous ninja in the village. It's still just a rumor, but I heard that he used it to kill 2 missing S-ranked ninja with it. Daidara from Iwa and Sasori from Suna. Shit, was what Kisame said. When I go to sleep for a while, the punk kills a lot of people. That isn't even half of it, said Orin. He's been gone for a while now. He came back after killing Uchiha Madara, the leader of the Akatsuki. He killed Kakuzu right before he left. Yeah, Raiga said with another smile. Zabuza is banging his head against the wall because he wishes he had gotten this kid to replace him as one of the 7. The Shadow of the Mist? No, it's the Blade of the Mist, said Orin. You're both wrong, Kisame told them. You'd find out if you fought him. He hunts and eats things. He would be called the Spider of the Mist or the Hunter of the Mist. When he saw that white spider again, he couldn't help but shiver. He beat both me and Itachi in 3 moves. They all felt cold. Carnage stood on a hill, where he had already decided to build a throne of bones. He stood there with his eyes closed and his tails waving behind him. He could feel the whole wave with his spider sense. His eyes opened wide. "Impossible," he said. "No living person can sneak up on me." When he turned around, he saw a man wearing armor and a helmet with horns. "Oh, no, dear Kyuubi," the man replied. "I'm not a person. I'm much more powerful than that, even more powerful than you." Carnage barked at him and showed off his sharp claws. "Human, you think too much of yourself. Do you want to say anything before you die? Well, how about heal?" Carnage's face got tense as he tried to stay on his feet. He stopped and squatted down with his hands on the ground. "Say it." "Bark." "Now I can tell you to act like you're dead, Kyuubi, but you won't act. Are you listening to me? You bad boy." Someone or something slammed his mouth shut. calm down, the man said. "Is that how you talk to God?" The look on Carnage's face changed. "Whose are you?" The god smiled and said, "I am the all-powerful Loki, Kyuubi." Carnage ate, but he didn't do anything else to show he was worried. "Loki, what do you want with me?" Loki put up a finger and waved it 6 times in a circle before snapping it. 6 more people showed up around him. "Not just you, Kyuubi, but all the Biju." "Oh, it looks like we're short too. I'll have to fix that." Before 2 more appeared, he snapped his fingers again. They were Rushi and Utakata. They were stunned for a second before they fell to the ground, screamed, and held their heads. "I do think you should tie a symbiont to them," she said. Pride, who used to have 6 tails, sighed and stretched while Wrath, who used to have 4 tails, licked his lips with excitement. Wrath said, "Ah, brothers and sisters. How did you get me out of my jail?" Loki told them, "They didn't, but I did." Lust took a moment to look at him before she smiled. "It's great to see you again, Loki. I haven't seen you since that night a few thousand years ago, you animal. Even after all this time, you still try to be nice to me by letting my brothers and sisters go." Loki shivered as he thought about that one-night stand. "I didn't do it or come here for that reason. Who says that it can't also be why you're here?" She walked around him, leaving a claw mark on his cheek, and he could see how long her tongue was. "Imagine all the things I can do now." Loki was quiet for a while. "Icinade, you are very tempting. But business before fun?" Lust turned her head a little and pouted. "Why can't business be a pleasure?" Most of the men there had a hard time swallowing. Carnage wasn't part of that. "Damn it, woman, keep your mouth shut. What do you want with us, you goatling?" He took a step back when Loki looked at him. "I want a tree, but not just any tree. The Yggdrasil." Lust sighed and asked, "Are you still talking about Ragnarok? It's so overrated to want to destroy the world. We've done it, so we know." "I know that, which is why I want you 9 to work for me as my agents." "I serve no one, neither man nor god," War growled. "You know who I serve," Death said. She let out a growl when she saw the Shinigami for a moment. "Take Lust up on her offer," Carnage growled. "That's all we can give you. Not even if I offer to make you whole?" Carnage was standing tall. "You can feel it, right? The ones who are lost and want to be whole again. You did what you could with the power you had. The lives of thousands, the power to take them or ignore them as if they were bugs." Carnage almost made a happy moan when he felt it again. "You want it right away." Loki snapped his finger and Carnage gasped as he woke up from his dream. "What would you like?" "The world tree has been hidden where neither you nor I can see it. But there is one thing that can still find it." "Fenrir, the one who eats the sun." Gluttony asked, "What does that have to do with us?" Loki was happy. "Fenrir is a werewolf." They all paid attention to Carnage. "You want me to call this wolf to you?" so that it might lead you to the tree that, if it is cut down, will end all life in the world. Why? Why? The other part of the prophecy says that paradise will be made after the end of the world. Maybe I want to rule over that perfect place. Or perhaps. He grabbed Carnage by the throat and lifted him into the air. I just want everything living to die. Carnage made a mean face at him. Then why should we help you, since we are still alive? Loki let go of him. Paradise is on its way. Who says that all 9 of you have to die? Do this for me. Call Fenrir, follow him to where Yggdrasil is hidden, and protect him while he destroys it. In return, I'll give you the power of a god and true immortality. In paradise, you'll be like gods to the bugs. Galactus will really be afraid of you all. Carnage gave a wicked grin. Well, if you say it that way. What do I have to do to call the Sun Eater? The power of you all is needed, Loki told him. Be careful, because the ravens won't let this happen. Even though Skarmory is gone. Ha 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 ha. I don't worry about them. Loki put the sword blade to his throat. You dumb. The ravens are tied to Odin in the same way that Fenrir is tied to me. When I chose you as my champions, Odin did the same thing. Here, on this piece of land, on this day, the last battle will be fought. Even now, the new Thor is heading this way. Thor? Pride looked at Wrath and said, are opposites. These things belong to them. Things I could have sworn I'd seen before. Loki told them, they went to the ruins of New York and found power that had been forgotten there. Quick, call Fenrir, or all life here will die. Pestilence laughed and said, and when we start killing everything, we start with the babies. Even Loki was looking at him. He just shrugged and said, while holding a chakra blaster he got in aim, what, babies scare me. Bang. Rock-a-bye. Roshi suddenly fell to the ground and rolled for a few yards. Several people jumped down to him on the ground and yelled, what happened? Before he could say anything, he had to think for a while. Impossible, he replied. What can't happen? Naruto asked. A god has taken my other half, the Yonbi said as he stood up. I just grabbed him. A god, Hinata said. Roshi-san, what on earth are you talking about? I am Yonbi, not Roshi, child. I mean exactly what I said. I felt a great power, much bigger than my siblings and me, take away a part of my soul. There had to be a god behind it. Why then? Naruto seemed confused. He wanted a servant made of earth, she thought. He was the most powerful mortal agent he could be. Yonbi, we'll find your other half soon. Wave is still being held hostage by Carnage and the others. Yes, we do need to keep going, said Yonbi. Hurry up, boys, we have to stop them. When the Jinchurikis got to the fireside of the strait that separated Wave and Fire, they felt a lot of chakra leave their bodies, and then they heard a howl that shook the ground. Kimimaro stared at the faraway island, where he thought he saw something moving. But that couldn't be true, because even Skarmory wasn't that big to be seen from that far away. Lord Naruto, have you seen something move over there? No, we didn't. Please wait. He climbed up a nearby tree and looked around again. What is it? Yugito asked Nine, what do you see? Something very big. Even bigger than Kyuubi. Kira said, nothing is that big. This is, without a doubt, related to Carnage. We need to move on. Him and Haku both jumped into the water, made the same signs with their hands, and put their hands on the water. The water was frozen solid when ice shot across it. They used chakra to move as quickly as they could across it. Hinata started to shiver as they moved. She told him, Naruto-kun, we feel like something is coming for us. The Sun Eater, Fenrir, stuck his nose up in the air. Yes. I can smell the keepers. The wood summoners. Senju. All 9 demons let out angry roars. They have to keep the damn tree, Carnage told them. Why else, little demon, would they be able to control the 9 Biju? Fenrir laughed. Odin put it in their blood, and I can smell it. Smart, in the human family tree. Senju is dead, it was told by death. The last member of the clan can't even control a flower. Fenrir gave her a sniff and said, Tsunade. No, I don't smell that person. Carnage started to laugh so hard he couldn't stop. I'm speechless. Still, there are 2. A man who was given the ability and Hyuga Hinata, who is a friend of my other friend. Because she is close to her symbiont, Truth, she can use Mokuton. And she's probably coming here with our weaker selves, War added with a smirk. Fenrir, Lust told him, be a good dog and get the girl. We'll kill the rest of them. Wait, you mean we're going to kill them? Even Gaara? Asked Pestilence. Of course, Gaara, growled Famine. He scowled for a moment before giving a shrug. I won't say no to a little murder, no matter what you say, Fuzzball. Take a picture. Yugito was the first to reach the shore and put up a hand. Something isn't right, she said as she took a deep breath. Everyone with a symbiont jumped away at once, pulling everyone else with them except Han, who was too big and heavy to move. There was an explosion where they were standing, and when the smoke cleared, Han picked himself up and looked at the huge wolf standing over them. It fell to the ground with 9 figures on it. Well, said War as he looked up at his old box. Since I last saw you, Han, you've grown up. Very large. Gobi, he said, nodding slowly and cracking his fingers. I'll break you into pieces. He laughed at him, and the armored Biju said, we shall see. Venom, Carnage said, if you would be so kind as to hand over Truth, we can finish our business. Naruto gave him a mean look. What do you want with her, you monster? Oh, I can think of a few things, he said, licking his lips with his long tongue. Don't worry, though. I won't hurt her, at least not yet. I need her help to bring a tree to life. Hinata said, we will never help you, through her Iron Man helmet. Carnage was interested in her. Sister, didn't you eat him at least once? Death said, yes, after a moment. Once upon a time, in New York. She nodded because she remembered it well. Crunchy on the outside and soft in the middle. She also licked her lips and said, now I'm getting hungry. Yugito gave her a mean look. Nekomata, I thought we had come to a deal. Yes, kitten, but the rules of the game changed. Kira looked at Famine and knew who he was, even though he had the wrong number of tails and the symbiont was covering his face. Hachi, and you? I thought we were buddies. Hey, we are, said Famine with a shrug. I can't help it if I get tired of being stuck inside and want to go for a walk. Even so, I think I like it this way now that I'm free. He smiled at Kira and said, don't forget that right now you're talking to the side that will use you however I want and then throw you away. I'm going to take your body and make it mine, and I'm going to keep you in my mind. Pestilence looked around to see if it could find someone and then saw him. Hey, Gaara, I've missed you. Since you left, nothing has been the same. No one calls me a rodent anymore, and Carnage wets the bed. That made a lot of people laugh, even the big wolf behind them. One day, brother, said Carnage. One day I'll rip out your tongue, he said. Pestilence looked at him for a moment, then turned to Gaara and said, he's very ashamed. Nami asked, you've put up with that your whole life? You're a man for sure. Gaara nodded and said. Shut up, you rodent. Pestilence smiled and said, ah, just like old times. Through her helmet, Fu looked at Glutton. You've put on weight, she told her. Only a little, the Seven Tails said, showing off her shape. I've always thought you needed a little more meat on your bones. Enough, yelled Carnage. Fenrir, get the girl, and we will kill the rest. Pestilence called out, wait. My common sense is tingling. Just as everyone was about to attack each other. He stared into space for a moment, and Gaara could tell he was thinking about something. Alright, go ahead. Haku thought that all hell broke loose when all the Jinchuriki charged at their Biju, except for Carnage and Naruto, who just stood there and looked at each other. People were throwing jutsus, weapons, energy blasts, and bullets all over the place. She tried to get to Naruto's side to help him, but Hinata's shouting that she dodged the big wolf made her help her instead. She aimed the SLC at Fenrir and pulled the trigger. It was hit by the blast, which knocked it off its feet. It rolled for a few yards, got back up and lunged at her while growling. Carnage and Naruto started to circle around each other. Carnage was holding his copy of Samahata and a Kage Kiri. Naruto was holding 2 Kage Kiris. We will kill you, Carnage, to get rid of your evil and free us both. It sounds like you think my good half didn't like the same things I did. No, I can tell because he did the same things I did. Soon, it won't matter, because you'll be nothing but a memory, Venom, and I'll still be here. They ran toward each other with their swords crossed. Why don't you make a picture? Samahata still on your back, or did you forget it? We do remember. Naruto dodged a cut that would have cut off his head, and Carnage grabbed the handle of Naruto's Samahata, ripping it off his back and throwing the Kage Kiri away. Ha ha ha. You're getting worse, boy. Now I have the world's 2 most powerful swords. Everything has a weakness, Naruto told him as he attacked. We have to get him where he needs to be. Famine attacked Kira with his 7 swords and was surprised when a lightning sword cut some of them in half. He moved out of the way as a poison-streaked sword came in for a high stab. Weapons with magic. Famine smiled and said, those are nice, but they won't help you. You haven't gotten better at anything. Kira kept the same stance while the old swords were switched out for new ones. They attacked again, and this time, Kira was wrapped in a chakra cloak that gave him tails to match Famine's. Fu fired a laser beam from her hand, and Glutton turned to avoid it. Not back, darling, she said, coming closer and knocking her to the ground. Just not good enough. She was about to take off her armor when something hit her. It bounced off of her, the ground, and Fenrir, and then Kimimaro caught it. He put it on his back and took out his bone sword at the same time. The Kamela dance. Kimimaro danced close to her, making it impossible for her to hit him. He would shoot her with bone bullets every now and then to keep her off balance until he saw his chance. He stabbed her foot in the ground with his sword. Slipping behind Glutton, he grabbed her arms and held on with all his strength while using anti-venom to kill the symbiont. Fu. Use a blast of sound. Of course not. You'll also kill him. Kimimaro grinned and said, we're immune to sounds and heat. Glutton's eyes got bigger as Fu got back on her feet and pointed her shoulder cannon at them. The high-pitched sound filled the air and quickly got louder. Glutton tried harder to get away, but since her symbiont was almost dead, she couldn't. So long. The last one hit them both and killed Glutton and knocked Kimimaro off his feet. Fu fell to the ground and into her own thoughts. As Glutton looked around in a lot of pain, she shook her head and saw a mountain with a waterfall. She was confused. I know this place, she said. She was tied to the stone walls with red silk scarves around her arms. What is happening? Fu came into sight. You'll see, so goodbye, Glutton. She disappeared, and Glutton heard what sounded like a lot of flying insect wings. Her eyes grew big when she saw her good half, a huge insect with 4 wings, land on her. She screamed as it ate her. Pride looked around and sighed, it's too bad Utakata isn't here. I'll find him when I have time. Oh well, I'll go play with her, he said as he looked at Fu, who was still lying down. Where are you, Sister Glutton? He lifted his foot and saw that he had stepped on a humanoid that had been smeared on the ground and had a dead symbiont mixed in with it. Oh well. He took a deep breath, and when he opened his mouth, bubbles started to come out. They started to move toward her when a round shield flew through the air and hit several of them, causing them to explode. I don't think so, said Kimimaro as he grabbed the shield. He put it on his hand and took his spine whip out. Han ran at War. Several projectiles hit him, but they bounced off of him. War hit him with a hammer, but it also went right through him. Oh, crap. Han threw him so hard that he hit a tree, a rock, and the ground. He brought his fist up and down, trying to hit him in the head, but before he could, War caught it in a web and moved it to the side. You're strong, Han. That makes it even better when I take you over. He put his hand on the mask, and the symbiont started to flow into his mouth through the holes. Han grabbed his arm and started to crush it because he was blind. No matter how hard you try, you won't be able to beat the Horseman of War. Han stopped moving after a while, and War let him fall to the ground. I win yet again. Rushi jumped on top of Wrath and put a hand on the ground. From his hand to the far pass, where Wrath was flying, it started to heat up and turn into lava. Time for you to go home, Gobi. Not this time. He touched the ground and his hand flew into several hand signs. Several columns about the size of bamboo grew out of the ground. He stood on one foot over the boiling pit of lava and waved for Rushi to join him. The oldest Jinchuriki there jumped and flipped through the air, landing with one foot on a pillar. These symbionts are pretty cool, don't you think? Making old people like us as active as you were when you were young. Yes, they are. Too bad. Greed comes back when I kill you. That can't happen. Wrath ran at him and threw a few claws and fists into the air. Rushi jumped to the side and ran to get there so he could hit him in the blind spot. When more came at him, he jumped back between the pillars. Wrath ran to where he had fallen and looked down at his body, which was still on fire. Except that he didn't fall in and he didn't see him. Old man, where are you? Come out from wherever you are. Rushi, who was sweating a lot because of the heat, jumped to the side of a pillar close to him. He broke a column with a kick of his leg, let it fall into the lava, and threw it at Wrath. The Biju turned and grabbed it. Can't be worse than. Hell. There it is. After the first, there were dozens more. Wrath used the one he had as a staff to knock away the ones that were coming at him. Before he laughed at him, he realized something. Rushi had moved around him in a circle, and he was standing very far away on the last pole while the old man grinned from the other side. He broke another pole and threw it at the one Wrath was standing on, which made it break like a stick. Wrath started to fall, and between the pillars, it made a web. When he saw that they were already starting to burn, he ran to the edge, but Rushi stopped him. Are you insane? In a second, the webs will catch fire, and we'll both die. I would rather die with you than give you the word. He didn't want to risk a jutsu, so he went into a taijutsu stance and attacked. They ran back and forth, punching and kicking each other to get the upper hand, but they were quickly running out of room. Rushi jumped to the next strand to get away from the kick, but when he landed, it broke. He dropped down and held on to it. He then swung back up and just missed the lava by a few inches. That was way too close. Wrath said, no kidding, and for a moment he looked a little scared. I understand, if I die, you die. He changed direction. No. Rushi. He went for him, but Rushi turned, grabbed him, and threw them both down. Gobi, burn in hell. Rushi reached the end of the line he was still holding, but Wrath kept going. Even though he still had his arm, Rushi slid down the web line. Aw. Wrath screamed as the lave ate away at his body, and he grabbed Rushi's arm to pull himself up. He only made him feel worse. Rushi screamed in pain as the limb was cut off, and Wrath had nothing to hold onto, so he was dropped into the lava and left to flail around until he died. Rushi quickly stood up and looked at the Biju, who was dying. Said he would burn, he said in a painful voice. His eyes rolled into the back of his head, and greed took over. It moved him away from the lava before he fell down too. Rushi used lava clones to grab Wrath and pull him to Gobi. He winced and turned away as the giant ape started to eat the clone after crushing it. Ow, he said a moment later. Nami and Lust were no longer there. She squirmed through the hills until she found a good place. She looked for her double from a hill with a view of a valley. She looked through the scope of the bowcaster for a few minutes before she saw a flash. She looked at it, and that's how she knew it was Lust, looking at her. They were staring at each other. Nami fired, and a bolt of green plasma that was very hot shot out of the end. It flew through the air, past its partner, and into Lust's crossbow sights, hitting her right in the eye. Nami's scope picked up the bolt Lust shot even as she was moving. It went through her eye and broke the bone on the side of her head. It hurt like hell, but she was still alive. She put her hand on the wound and yelled, "Son of a bitch." She jumped up and went to check on the slut to make sure she was dead. She found her on the ground, twitching and foaming at the mouth, with part of her head burned off. It took Lust a long time for his one eye to focus on her. Kill me. Nami turned her head away for a moment, then pulled the bowcaster back, aimed at her head, and killed her. Lust couldn't even fight in Nami's mind because the pain was still very real to her. Isanade felt bad about it and did it quickly. While Yugito and Death fought, fire was all around them. Excuse me. Pestilence came down from the sky and tried to stab Yugito with two swords, but he missed and Yugito cut off his arm. "Aw. Oh, man," he said as he watched the branch roll away. "Can you help me out? I'm going to get it." Yugito, Death, and Gaara watched him run after it, pick it up, and say, "No worries." He put it back on the stump and began to murmur, "Come on, go back. Too far to the right. Wait, that doesn't look right." He put the branch in the air. "Hey, am I wearing this right? I think it's backwards. The wrong way." The arm bent. Death held her head in her hands and looked at the other two. "Please kill him, I beg you," she said. Pestilence fixed his arm in some way, then ran back and said, "That's not nice, sister." She grew claws, stuck them through his head, and grew more. Neither of those was that. Gaara and Yugito both had blank looks on their faces, but Gaara was ready for it. "Why doesn't someone just kill the rat?" Death replied, "What do you think I'm up to?" Pestilence said, "I don't know what to say." "Oh, a little to the left." Death pulled out her claws and turned Gaara around. "Remember the plan? You murder him. Right. Gaara, buddy, you heard the woman." He waved his arms around and threw kunai with explosives on them. Then he grabbed his twin chakra blasters, one in each hand, and threw them wide, sending shots in all directions. He followed Gaara when he ran. Death let out a happy sigh. At last. So he's a dumbass? No, he's not stupid at all. He's smart enough to plan attacks like you wouldn't believe. He just doesn't have all the cards yet. Got it. You're nuttier than a squirrel. They turned around and started fighting again. Pestilence was pointing his blasters at Gaara and getting his sand ready for him. Okay, now that we're far away from the others. He put his weapons away and walked away. Huh? You're not going to try to kill me, are you? No. But I thought you were half of the bad guys. No, I'm neutral chaos. I just do what I want. If you want to know what the other side is, ask me. I don't want the world to end, either. It's so much fun. Okay, would you mind helping us stop that? Alright. I will take care of Fenrir. Pestilence left, saying, "See you soon, buddy." He's still crazy, Gaara said to himself. Pestilence almost got Fenrir when it jumped on his nose. Who wants some snacks? He put a roll of explosive notes in his mouth and told him, "You do." He tied it shut with spider web, jumped down, and ran away with Hinata and Haku. Guys, I think we've lost him. When the stacks blew up, they were all thrown to the ground. And they all lived happily ever after, except for Fenrir. As the smoke went away, Fenrir could be seen shaking his head and growling. "I'll cut your head off." "Me," he surprisedly said. Hinata grabbed him and spun him around to throw him, saying, "He's all yours." Wait, Hinata. I am your friend. Hinata let go, and when Fenrir ran at him, he was thrown to the ground. Before she saw Haku get thrown to the ground, Hinata couldn't help but laugh. She turned around and just as she saw War, he grabbed her. Bang bang. He hit her in the face, which made her head snap back. He kept punching it until he was able to get it off. Now, let's talk about that tree. One of the symbiont's tendrils slipped out of his hand and into her ear. She started to scream out in pain as it moved her hand and chakra. War gave her so much chakra that she thought she was going to die before he finished the last hand sign and pushed them down. As an acorn grew, he threw her to the ground. It dug into the ground, and a few seconds later, it started shaking. Yes. Here it is. Naruto caught both Samahata in the Kage Kiri sword's notches. We get the win. Before Carnage could do anything, Naruto turned the swords around and threw them away. He picked up Mjolnir and said, Kage Enmu, Dance of Death. In that moment of surprise, Carnage was surrounded by darkness, and he broke both of his arms when he caught a hammer coming at him from the front. I won't die right now. Wrong, shouted a dozen people before all of their weapons fell on him. The darkness lifted, and the copies of the Kage Bunshin disappeared. Naruto was left to pick up both Samahata while Carnage was bleeding everywhere. I won't fall apart like this, he said, with blood also coming out of his mouth. When he looked to his side, his arms were gone, but he could still see the tree. No matter what, the end of your world is coming. Shut up, Naruto told him before he cut his head off. He turned around and saw Fenrir climbing up the tree behind him. No jutsu for calls. Ebony, Usagi, Ukumi, and the fangs of the tides were in 3 smoke columns. Ladies and gentlemen. Naruto, said Ebony first. He looked at the wolf and laughed with the sound of a caw. Well, if it's not Fenrir, Loki's stupid son. I will kill you for that, Fenrir growled. As your boss, Ukumi, I tell you to kill these wimps. The cubs with him didn't know what to do and kept looking back and forth. No, Daddy, I won't. You'd turn on your pack. You won't be in my group for a long time. Kimimaro stopped his fight for a moment to watch what they were saying to each other. He then made a few hand signs and said, summoning no jutsu. When the tower of smoke cleared, a white tiger as big as Fenrir was there. Kimimaro bowed to Tora-sama and said, Tora-sama, please help Ukumi-sama, Usagi-sama, and Ebony-sama defeat the wolf Fenrir. What did I tell you about being so polite? That's enough. He has a thick head, Tora said, shaking his head. Now that I have the dog. He looked down at Pride, tilted his head, and stepped on him, crushing him into the ground. Let's get a drink after this and you can tell me what the hell I missed. He answered, of course, Tora-sama, which made the tiger sigh. Tora turned to the others and said, yo, who said you could start the party without me? They all ran at Fenrir at the same time, making him leave Yggdrasil. Damn it Mutt, yelled War. You are a god's son. Kill them and cut this tree down. To show that, he pointed his arm at it, but instead of hitting it, he hit something else. He turned around and saw that Han was done regenerating. Shit. This time, you won't be able to. He grabbed his head and started to squeeze. He broke him as easily as an egg. War looked up and saw that Han was still the juggernaut in his mind. A punch sent him straight into his good half's mouth. Death and famine were easy to kill because Naruto and Kimimaro quickly worked together to attack them. Naruto yelled, Hinata. Haku. As he looked for them. What are you doing? He jumped out of the way of Tora's blast of fire. Hinata. Haku. He saw her lying still on the ground, and not far away, Hinata was also still on the ground. Oh, God, please don't worry. He ran away, not caring that 2 titans were fighting a few hundred feet away. Haku. He reached out and gave her a push on the shoulder. Get up, please. come on. Serum, come on, save her. Her looked at him and opened her eyes. He was invisible to them. Come on. Fight, fight, fight. He looked at her and couldn't find any injuries. Stop it. He hit her on the cheek and said it again, but this time it was hard to hear. Fight it, damn it. He put his fingers one last time on her neck. Not a thing. No. When he thought of Hinata, he ran to her with tears in his eyes. It's time. He got to her without even trying, even though her eyes and ears were open and bleeding. No, this isn't the way. No. He hit the suit with his fist. It turned on again, and a voice said, heart rate stopped. Emergency procedures are starting. Get out. Her body was filled with electricity. The first try didn't work. All clear. Her muscles tightened again. 2 tries didn't work. All clear. Her muscles tightened again. Naruto stared at it for what seemed like a long time, waiting for an answer. Pulse rate going up. Getting bigger. Can't move their head to clear their airways. Naruto didn't need a sign. He tilted her head back to let her breathe, and she coughed right away. Hi, there. Thank you, Kami. He gave her a big hug and told her, we thought we had lost you, too. Naruto, she mumbled. We watched as Haku was thrown. She's not here. Hinata, where is she? She asked with more force. He turned his head away and said, she's gone. No. We tried to get her to return. No. No. She shoved him off, and he crawled to her. Haku, please wake up. She touched her, and for a moment, truth and serum became one. She looked around and found her helmet. She used a web line to shoot it, then pulled it back to her. After putting it on, she started to look over her body. That's it. She turned her over, pulled serum from her skin, pointed her palm laser at her back, and fired another one like a surgical laser. She cut it open, and Naruto saw something moving inside. She shot again, and everyone with a symbiont heard what sounded like a pained scream. That was the last sign of war. Hinata turned her on her side as the serum started to close the wound. Breathe, breathe, breathe for God's sake. Ukumi went for Fenrir's throat and threw him to the ground with a crash. He started to thrash around and try to pull it out. Fenrir shoved him off and tried to get back on, but Ebony sent a wind blade at his leg and cut it. As he fell again, Usagi turned his bottle upside down and put it in his mouth. Hope this new draft works for you. This is my best poison yet. When Tora hit him in the side and clawed open his stomach, he had to drink it. Fenrir coughed, growled, threw them all off again, and lunged at the tree. Before he threw up a river of blood, he took a step. Before he fell to the ground, his eyes rolled up into his head. Usagi said, killed the bad guy, saved the world, as if he expected nothing less. But not our world, Naruto replied as he looked down at Haku, who was still. Haku's head was on Naruto's shoulder as he held her close to him. She was gone, and no one knew of a jutsu, forbidden or not, that could bring her back. Hinata reminded him that Madara had mentioned one and that Konan might know it, but Naruto didn't get his hopes up. Serum got close to him and tried to make him feel better. They got to the estate quickly by riding on Ebony's back. I'm sorry, Naruto, Ebony told him. There was nothing else she could say, so she went back to her house. Naruto turned to the others and said, we'll clean up your wounds and you can go home, but anyone who wants to stay can. Rushi grunted, I'm a missing ninja, and I'm too old for this crap. Plus, I only have one arm, so I won't be able to fight off hunters anymore. I'll stay. Utakata nodded and said, don't have a home to go to. I'll see you around Nami. She gave him a nod and said, I need to head back, Zabuza is waiting for me. Yugito and Kira shook their heads. My brother is waiting, Kira told them. We're going back home. Gaara replied, so am I, and said the same thing. Han turned his head to look at Rushi. I no longer care about Iwa, so I go with Rushi. We'll find a place for you, Hinata told him as she gave him the scroll with his armor. Please give back your weapons, everyone. Fu asked, do I have to? You do, said Naruto. He looked at Han and said, swords, bow, symbionts, and armor. And you aren't staying the Juggernaut. Kira looked at the swords lovingly and said, if I have to. Then he gave the Kusanagi to Kimimaro and the Raijin to Naruto. Yugito's symbiont fell off of him and joined with Hinata. Fu got out of War Machine as Nami put the bowcaster on the table. Rushi put one hand on Naruto's shoulder and Greed and Serum got back together. He asked him, are you going to be okay, son? Someday, Naruto said as he pulled Haku closer. It doesn't make sense. Rushi told him, it never is, but that's how it goes. When will we? Naruto said, we're going to burn her body soon. Nami told him, then I'll stay. And I think the 7 swordsmen are here, so I think they'll want to come, too, she said. Naruto thanked her and took Haku to their room, where he put him on the bed. With a kiss, he went away. Naruto was slowly walking through Konoha on his way to see the old man when he ran into some people he hadn't seen in a long time. Naruto called Sakura. Huh? Hey, Sakura. Who is he? She was with a guy with round eyes, black hair that was combed back nicely, khaki pants, and a button-up shirt that wasn't tucked in. Naruto, my eternal rival, I'm hurt that you don't remember me. Naruto blinked a few times and tried to match the guy's face and voice to those of people he knew. Lee, Rock Lee. You look normal. It was hard to get him out of the jumpsuit, Sakura said, but that was the last thing that was. Lee sighed and whispered to Naruto, in all honesty, I miss my clothes. They were more comfortable. When he turned back to Sakura, he saw that she was looking at him with a dark look. He gave a nervous laugh and said, yes, dear? Did you just say something mean about the clothes I wear? No, never, he said. Good, Sakura said with a sigh of relief. We'd stay, Naruto, but we have a date, and if we don't leave, we'll be late for our reservations. Okay, Naruto said with a nod. Lee snapped his fingers and said, why don't you, Hinata, and Haku come with us? We'll have a double date, or a triple date, if that's possible. Naruto, what's wrong? You're crying. When Naruto put his hand to his face, he saw that he was. Haku, we can't make it. Maybe next time. Have a good day, Naruto said as he walked away, wiping his eyes. Sakura grabbed his arm and asked, Naruto, what is wrong with Haku? She died, Naruto said, shedding more tears. We spent the whole day fighting the Biju who had gotten away, and Haku died in the fight. Let's forget about dinner, Sakura-chan, Lee said as they both choked up. No, Naruto began to say in response. Sakura told Naruto, yes, you need us right now. He wiped his tears away on his arm and said, no, we don't. Lee asked, where are you going? Tell the old man and Tsunade Kasen. They took an arm and started walking. Haku lay in her wedding kimono on a pile of wood and tinder, and Naruto stood next to her with a lit torch in one hand. Behind him were also his friends, family, and fellow soldiers. Most people couldn't believe she was dead. Both she and Naruto seemed so strong, so how could they lose? As Naruto got ready to light the fire, the torch shook in his hand. No. He threw it away and wrapped his arms around her. We won't let this happen. Naruto, Sarutobi said as she moved closer to him, I know it hurts, but there is nothing you can do. Naruto seemed to calm down, and he gave a dark look up. Yes, we can. Give us the contract. What are you, a contract? Give us the thing our father used to call the Shinigami. Sarutobi was shocked. I can't, he said. To call him means death. You wouldn't survive it. We're not asking you, we're telling you. Give it to us or we'll take it, Naruto said softly as he put Haku back down. Sarutobi looked up and saw that each of the 7 swordsmen's swords was drawn and ready to force him to help. Naruto, I only ask you to consider this. We've thought about it. Hiruzen sighed and said, okay, it's in a safe hidden deep inside your parents' house behind a blood seal. I'll show you where it is. Sarutobi led him to the basement of Naruto's house and pointed to a wall. Naruto cut his hand and pressed it against the wall. He said, your blood will open it. The bricks began to move around, revealing a hidden passageway. At the end, Naruto put his hand, which was still bleeding, against the door of a safe. It opened, and Naruto took a scroll out of it. Naruto, you can't stop doing this once you've started. We know, Naruto said, but we would rather have a world without us than a world without her. I think your father would have wanted the same, Naruto, Sarutobi said with a nod. Naruto signed his name in blood next to Sarutobi's when he got back to the surface. He started the hand signs while his hands were still shaking. The lights went out, and the Shinigami, who looked like a ghost, came into view. Why have you asked me to come here? He asked. You took the soul of our wife, Naruto said. We want her to come back. The Shinigami slightly turned his head up. Your soul is the price, are you willing to pay it? Yes. The Shinigami tried to reach out to Naruto, but there was something in the way. He tried again, and this time he frowned and said, I can't, Thor. An immortal life is not the same as a mortal one. No, take us instead. It's more than fair. No, I can't. When Naruto was angry, he picked up Mjolnir and threw it away. But it came back. RRRAAAGGGHHH. He slammed his fist on the ground. What the hell? Take mine, said Rushi. An old man dies, and a young woman lives, so it's a fair trade. The Shinigami looked at him and shook his head. No, the scales wouldn't be even if you had the Gobi, too. Naruto asked, why the hell does it have to be balanced? The Shinigami said, your life energies will be used to heal hers. When he went on, a few of them were about to give their own lives. So I have to give up something of equal worth. Naruto took a moment to look at Mjolnir before putting it in front of the Shinigami. My immortality and the hammer Mjolnir. Before he could say anything else, Greed and Yugito's symbiont, Peace, moved down to it. Are you sure? I asked. Yes, they said. As well as Greed and Peace. The Shinigami looked at them and said, there's one more thing, the Crimson Gem of Sidorak. Naruto didn't hesitate, and he set the gem with the hammer. The lives of these two, the weapon of a god and the personification of a god, have been balanced. With a wave of his hand, the hammer vanished and went back to Asgard, while the gem rose into the air and flew to a faraway part of the earth. He picked up both symbionts by reaching down. When he raised his other hand, a shard of light came from it. As soon as the symbionts were gone, he went over to Haku and put it against his chest. He straightened up and left. Haku's color came back right away, and Naruto was standing next to her, the metal disc no longer on his chest. Haku-chan, talk to us, please. She whispered, don't be so loud, Naruto-kun, my head hurts. Haku. He picked her up and turned her around so Serum could come back. We thought we'd lost you, he told her before giving her a kiss. She returned the kiss and put her head on his shoulder before looking around and asking. Naruto-kun, is something going on? Why are so many people here? They were just worried about you, he said. Let's get you back home and into bed. He looked at those around him and asked, Kimimaro, could you? Yes, Lord Naruto. Naruto took Haku inside, and Kimimaro looked back at everyone else. Thank you all for your help, but as you can see, it wasn't needed. Thank you, Lord Sarutobi, on behalf of Lord Naruto and everyone in the Uzumaki, Kagaya, and Fuma clans, he said as he bowed and turned to leave. Kimimaro, Sarutobi asked, what did he give the Shinigami? The things that like water. Those were things he saw while he was away. Haku's animals. Oh, he said, looking at Naruto. Tell them both that I hope they do well. Tsunade, how about we go get a drink? I could use one after all I've been through today. Agreed, was her answer. Oh, Kisame-sama, Lord Naruto gave me something to give you, Kimimaro said. He took Samahata out of its wrapping and gave it to him. But the Gaki won it, said the shark swordsman. Yes, but Kyuubi made another one for him to use. There are now 2 Samahata in the world, and it is right that one stays with the 7 swordsmen. Kisame nodded as he and his brothers turned and left with Nami back for home. Yugito and Kira also headed back north to their home, missing the mountains. Han helped Rushi to his room, and Hinata joined Naruto and Haku in their room. You know, I just realized that Pestilence is still out there. He shrugged and said, I'll deal with him later. Pestilence got out of the hole in the ground and looked up at the big tree, which was starting to disappear again. Carnage? He asked. Lust? Who is Gaara? What's up, Hinata? He patted himself down, amazed that he was still in one piece. I'm alive? I'm not dead. I'm alive. He dropped to his knees, threw his head back, and raised his arms in the air. His eyes got big when he saw an acorn the size of a truck fall from the tree right above him. This is going to hurt, he thought. Crash. I was right. Gaara, someone, give me a hand, please. No, Yumi, don't play with that, Kimimaro said to a laughing little girl. Hazashi, put down that cat. He grabbed both toddlers and sighed. For a moment, things were quiet. Irashi, get down from the ceiling right now. No, don't even. They started crying. No, don't even. They started crying. Mommy, Kim-san yelled at us, Yumi sobbed, and her symbiont did the same. Haku walked in, looking as beautiful as she always did. Yumi, Irashi, she said sternly, tapping her foot to make them stop. Kimimaro, I'll deal with them, she told him. Thank you, Lady Haku, he said as he dropped to the floor and put her twin children on the floor. Hinata's only child, who was 4 years old, gulped. Hazashi too, Haku said. Now, what are you 3 doing, running around like animals? Mommy, we were reading when Hazashi-kun showed us a new trick to do with tranquility, Yumi said, referring to the symbiont she had been connected to since before she was born. Us too, said Irashi and his symbiont, Chaos. And what was this trick, Hazashi? Haku asked as she turned away from her 3-year-olds. We saw Daddy walk up a tree a few days ago, the boy said. Fang said that he could do that, too. His symbiont nodded. She gave them a hard look and said, You 6 are so lucky that today is your dad's birthday. It's already 8 a.m., so stop and save it for tomorrow. Yes, Mommy, said all 3. Now, go and play nicely. They said, we will, and then ran off. Haku laughed, then went back to her room to kiss Naruto. Hello, Naruto. He smiled with his eyes still closed and said, Good morning, love. He pulled Hinata close to him and said, Good morning, Haim. Hinata moaned, What's good about it? Haku told her, Don't be like that, and then he kissed her. Don't forget that today is Naruto-kun's 25th birthday. She said, Fine, and tried to get up. After failing a few times, she started to cry. It's not fair. We hate being fat, she said, pointing to her big stomach. Naruto kissed her again and then her stomach and said, Hinata-chan, you're not fat, you're beautiful, and you're pregnant. Hey in there, are you ready to come out? Don't encourage them, Hinata told her. They kick whenever you ask them to do that. After one more kiss, he helped her stand up. We had the best dream last night. We were married to the 2 best women in the world, we had several happy, healthy children, our best friend was married and his wife was pregnant with his child, and we were Hokage. Haku gave him a kiss and asked, Really? What happened after that? Naruto smiled and said, We realized we should be dreaming about more than just our daily lives, so we changed it to all of us going fishing. He popped his back as he stretched and pulled on his Hokage robes. So, what are we going to do with our one day off? Spend it with you and the kids? That sounds good, said Hinata. But it sounds good to spend it in bed with you, too, Hinata said. She kissed him again. Whoa, they heard Rushi say. Haku, your son just webbed me to my chair, he told them. Then it went to the ceiling. Haku sighed, young man, Arashi, you are in a lot of trouble. We didn't do it, and we didn't do it. Naruto laughed and said, just another day in paradise. He then carried Hinata out while Haku ran after her son. His birthday party started around noon, and his family started singing. Naruto was happy until he saw Hinata turn pale all of a sudden. What's wrong with you, Hinata-chan? Naruto, I think I just gave birth. Naruto's face turned white when he looked down and saw a pool of bloody water on the floor. The kids all said, ew. Kimimaro, we need you to watch the kids while we take care of Hinata. He worked his jaw for a moment, then stood up with Haku, picked up Hinata, and carried her to the private clinic on the estate. Kin, he yelled as he walked in, it's the baby. Kin sighed and smiled at him. Again, Naruto? What is this, the 12th time? Kin, this is not a false alarm, Haku said a split second before Hinata went into labor, screamed into Naruto's shoulder, and squeezed his neck so hard that his face turned blue. Love a duck today? She turned to the nurses with her. Get her to a room and get the delivery room ready. She turned to Haku as she put on scrubs. Are you ready? She looked after Naruto as he took Hinata to the first available room and said, whether we are or not doesn't really matter at this point. Haku was the head doctor for all 3 clans, and Kin was her assistant and second. Don't forget to get the medicine ready. Do you think she'll hurt that much? No, it's for Naruto when he really starts to freak out, she said with a laugh, but she was dead serious. Hinata has been through this before, so she'll know what to do, she thought as she turned to look at the door as her kids ran in. Hazashi stopped right in front of her and asked, what's wrong, mommy? Kimimaro ran after him holding a sniffling Arashi and Yumi. We're sorry, Haku, but he got away from us, Kimimaro said. Haku told him, it's fine. Hazashi, your new brother or sister is about to be born, the doctor told him. This made Hazashi look surprised. Haku gave each of her children a smile. Hazashi looked the same as his grandfather, right down to the Byakugan. When the man first saw and held the child, it made his heart melt. He also often tried to act like his grandfather by being regal, serious, and lordly as long as his grandfather was in sight. When he wasn't, he was just as wild as his father when he wasn't. So Mommy Hinata is fine? Arashi asked, still letting a few tears fall. He and his sister were fraternal twins, and they made her lower back hurt so much. Hinata even said while she was pregnant that she was glad she wasn't having twins because Haku was almost twice as big as she was before she had them. Both Arashi and Yumi had Naruto's blue eyes but Yumi's dark hair. Arashi was the one who had to run and yell to get everyone's attention. Yumi was shy, so when she was introduced to new people, she liked to hide behind her mother or father's leg. When she was with her parents, she liked to curl up in their laps and try to read a book. But when all 3 of them were together, people were very afraid. One minute, they'd be planning military-level pranks, and the next, they'd be at war with each other, or more specifically, the twins would be at war with Hazashi. Hinata's room let out a scream, which made Yumi look scared. We thought she would be fine. Haku sighed. Now they were going to be so worried they would cry. She held all 3 of them in her arms and gave them a big hug. Now you 3 listen, she said in a quiet voice. Would we tell a lie to you? No, Mommy Haku, they told her. Right, so when we say Mommy Hinata will be fine, we mean. She will be, they said as they wiped their tears away and put on brave faces. Haku kissed each one and said, those are our babies. Don't worry, Truth will never let anything bad happen to her. Now, go with Uncle Kimimaro, and we'll come get you when it's time to meet your new sibling. They agreed reluctantly and were led out. Don't worry, Kimimaro told them. Your mother, Lady Haku, is the best doctor in the clans and in most of Konoha. Lady Hinata is in good hands. He took them back to the Uzumaki home and called his home to check on his wife. He asked Tayuya over the phone, "Are you feeling okay?" She cursed about how fat she was and how she couldn't do anything. He was glad the kids couldn't hear her. Hazashi looked at the normally locked door to the basement and saw that it was only half shut. After taking a look around, he called his raven chick, Skarmory, and started walking down the stairs. When he got to the bottom, he saw two metal men standing next to a wall. Wires and other things led to the wall. But in the back of the room, he saw this black windowed metal thing. Hello? Ah. The windows turned white, and a picture of a woman with blonde hair showed up on them. Hello, I'm Cortana, the AI of the Stark mainframe. How can I help you? Hazashi was stunned as he looked at her. Who are you, and why do you live in the window? Before the screens went blank and she suddenly appeared in front of him, she smiled at him. I'm Cortana, an AI program that's supposed to organize and store forgotten technology and teach it to other people. Who are you? Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Uzumaki Hazashi. I see you're looking for Naruto, the firstborn son of Uzumaki. What can I do for you? My mom is hurting, can you help her? What the heck is wrong with her? Mommy Haku said that she is having her baby. Cortana laughed and shook her head no. Sorry, I can't, she said, but I'm sure she'll be fine soon. Okay, he said, pointing to the metal men. Who are those two? Iron Man and War Machine are robotic suits that the late Tony Stark made to keep himself alive. They give the person who wears them the ability to fly, have armor, and fight on the offensive. That's very cool, said Hazashi. Very, she said in agreement. Is there anything else you'd like to know? Hazashi looked at Skarmory, and Skarmory did the same. The raven and the boy both looked back at her and told her everything. Naruto said, Hinata-chan, take a deep breath, as he always did when he was scared. Hinata grabbed him by the collar, pulled him close, and growled, Naruto, shut up. One last push, said Haku. Get the towels, Kin. Hinata. And now. Hinata squeezed Naruto's hand as she pushed, which could have broken a few bones. We've got him. She cut the baby boy's umbilical cord, held him up by his feet, and slapped his bottom. This made the baby boy cough up the water in his lungs and cry. She wrapped him up in warm towels and told him lovingly, don't worry, it's okay. Before giving him to Hinata, she started to clean him up. He's going to be very handsome, she said. Hinata was tired, so she looked at her new baby and said, you're right. Naruto, do you want to hold your son? Yeah, he said, holding his son in his arms and staring at his face in shock. He saw a boy with blue eyes and 3 whisker marks on each cheek, as well as a black and white symbiont around his neck, both of whom were looking at him with interest. All of his children were born with whiskers and their symbionts. And here we thought all our children would look like their mothers, he said with a smile to his son. Naruto asked Hinata, so, what do you want to call him? She sighed and took her child back. Junior. Uzumaki Naruto Jr. We were thinking. After us, Naruto said, not sure what to do. Hinata said, yes, and then she smiled. Do you like what I gave you for your birthday? Naruto looked at the time and saw that his birthday was still going on. He smiled at Hinata, kissed her and their son, and said, the best one ever. Junior got sleepy, closed his eyes, and yawned. Kin, thank you so much, he told her when he turned to face her. You're welcome, Naruto-sama, she told him. Well, it's late, so Shin must be worried. Even though she and Sasuke got close, they never made it. But when she met Shin, Sai's brother, they got along really well. He made her laugh all the time, even when he asked her to marry him. Not bad, given that they met because he stepped on her foot and she cursed him up and down. She walked outside and stretched. The baby is born, she said. Naruto heard a cheer and went outside. He saw all of his friends, including Jiraiya and Tsunade, as well as many Fuma clan members as could fit in the small building. Alright, form a line, Naruto said with a sigh, knowing that they all wanted to see the new baby. As he sat down, he said, "What a long day." Venom agreed with him completely.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.